Well, there has now been reaction from Saudi Arabia's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Adel al-Jubeir, says only the kingdom has the authority to look into the case, and he describes the report as full of clear contradictions and what he describes as baseless allegations. Hashem Ahelbarra has more now from Istanbul.
Saudi reaction to the final report issued by the United Nations Special Rapporteur Agnes Callamard was expected. The government does not seem to be pleased with the chilling details that were presented in the report, and also about the fact that it implicates Saudi officials at the highest level in the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. On the other hand, the Turkish government seems to be pleased. Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu said that he fully endorses the content of the report and the need for the perpetrators to be prosecuted as soon as possible. Turkey seems to be now waiting to see what kind of next step that the Saudi government will take. If the Saudis are willing for further cooperation with the Turkish government, that could be a new chapter. But if the Saudis decide not to cooperate, I think the Turkish government is going to press ahead for the need for an international criminal investigation to start as soon as possible.
Al Jazeera's diplomatic editor James Bays joins us live from the United Nations in New York. And James, tell us more about the reaction from the UN.
Well, Agnes Callamard, the Special Rapporteur appointed by the UN Human Rights Council, is an independent expert of the United Nations. She doesn't, though, represent the body. That is the Secretary-General. She makes a recommendation to him that because this is getting nowhere with the Saudi investigation, with Saudi justice, that he should set up his own criminal investigation. And she says he has the power to do this. He has said, no, I don't. I need a referral from one of the bodies of the United Nations, one of the key assemblies, the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Human Rights Council, and a referral from a member state. She says that's not the case. Who's right? I pressed the official spokesperson of the Secretary-General. Agnes Callamard, the Special Rapporteur, is an eminent legal expert. The Secretary-General is not a lawyer. There are other lawyers who agree with her. He has the power to do this. What is he basing this on?
No one doubts Madame Callamard's credentials. This is from our... this is the Secretariat's position. This is the Secretary-General's position.
Based on what? On legal advice? Can we see the legal advice if there is legal advice?
No, as you know, whether in any institution, advice between a person's lawyer and that person is not going to be shared. This is our position based on the Charter.
So based on the UN Charter, which is the UN's governing document, I have to say it doesn't specifically mention this at any point in that UN Charter, and many experts believe the Secretary-General does have the power to set up this investigation, and his critics say perhaps he's saying he doesn't so that he can avoid a political hot potato neck.
All right, James, thanks very much. James Bays reporting there from the United Nations. From New York to Washington now, here's Mike Hanna.
Well, the report is likely to ratchet up tension between Congress and the administration. Certainly, Congress has been incensed at the Trump administration's position on the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, its insistence that it regards the matter as closed. Initially, the Senate sent the president a letter demanding that he provide accountability for the murder within a set period of time. The president simply defied this, never gave a formal response to that Senate letter. Then there's been a series of moves in Congress blocking arms sales to Saudi Arabia as a punitive measure, both for its human rights record, including the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, and for its involvement in the war in Yemen. A number of resolutions were passed, which was subsequently vetoed by President Trump. The president then went even further and invoked emergency regulations in an attempt to circumvent Congress in terms of pushing through an $8 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia. Congress has responded. There are some 22 resolutions sitting in Congress at present relating to Saudi Arabia. These could be passed as early as within the next few days. Once again, President Trump likely to veto such legislation. But this report is likely to intensify this ongoing conflict between Congress and the Trump administration on the whole issue of U.S. relations with Saudi Arabia.